Happy New Now, all you positive heads out there. It's so good to be back with you as always. If you're new to this podcast, of course, we are super happy to have you here, and we just ask that you bring an open mind and heart to your listening experience and to be prepared to explore vantage points that I'm convinced will help shift or solidify your current understanding of the ultimate nature of reality. While listening, you'll be exposed to inspiring, empowering, and unifying perspectives that I'm highly confident will yield stellar results in your life if you opt to try them on for size. Also, I'm super happy to announce that we have officially launched our new late-night style, consciousness-elevating video variety talk show, Optimistic, which features live visionary artists, soul share interviews, retreat guests that come here to the Mystic Manor to join me and the interviewee on the stage during the last night of their stay, their week-long stay, as well as the show concluding with live musical performances. We're going to be releasing episodes every other Sunday at 11:11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, and you can go to optimistic.tv, that's spelled OPTIMYSTIC.tv, to join our watch party for each future episode's release or to check out past episodes. We were originally going to be releasing Optimistic episodes every Sunday. However, as a community, following the flow of what is wanting to come through in these unique and unprecedented times with so many of our soul family stuck at home, craving connection, we have decided to move to releasing episodes every other Sunday so that those of us here on the production team at the Mystic Manor can free up some time and energy to help create virtual community for all of you P-heads out there. And we are accomplishing that aim by launching our new Mystic Manor online retreat and play shops re-membership program. It's going to entail live play shops twice daily, 7 days a week, behind the scenes footage here at the Mystic Manor each day, access to a Facebook group where we do short interactive 1-minute video challenges and reflect back to each other about our experiences, live Q&As with me and some of the other facilitators, and more. It's a super robust program. It's facilitated by over a dozen of us here at the Mystic Manor, and in an effort to support all you P-heads out there stuck at home craving connection, for a limited time, it is going to be totally free to sign up on our Patreon page, which is linked at optimistic.tv. Just be sure to fill out the form link that's located at the top of our About section on Patreon so we can make sure you have access. Otherwise, we're super excited to have you join in all the magic with us that's happening here every single day at the Mystic Manor and to expand our community together. Here we grow. All right, all you positive heads, welcome. Here we grow again. It is a fantabulous Friday here in the studio, and I would normally have a whole bunch of retreat guests here with me to share about their week's journey up to this point here at the Mystic Manor. And of course, as we are in the throes of the cosmic quarantine, the metamorphosis in the chrysalis at this moment, there are no retreat guests here. It is me, myself, and I am grateful that I can still connect with you guys. Thank goodness for virtual connection, right? Wouldn't it be odd if we were all in a day and time where there was no phones or internet or any of those things and everyone was quarantined? Wow, what a different world it would be. Makes you really focus on the positive aspects of this thing, right? It's all about perspective. You take someone who has, let's say, one of the things I've mentioned before on the show that's really interesting to consider, they say if someone has become crippled after a few years, they completely reset to the same level of happiness they were prior. So what that tells us, these studies show us, is it's all about the perspective, right, that we're taking. So if you're out there and you're really suffering because you're stuck at home, or maybe you're, unlike myself, I have, there's 15 of us here at the Mystic Manor. you're just by yourself. And so maybe that's more challenging or what have you. Here's the thing is, ultimately, as humans, we tend to ultimately reconfigure and reset. And part of the way that we can do that is by focusing on the good, right? Looking for the silver lining. What is good about being stuck at home, right? What are you able to do that you normally wouldn't do? What are you able to reconfigure? How can your perspective shift? How can you grow? How can you expand? So just remembering, just wanting this podcast to be a gentle reminder to focus on, the direction you want your energy to flow. Don't be looking at the things you don't want about it. Be looking at the things that you do. And if you do find yourself, feeling low or down or any of those things, don't hate that either, right? As Matt Kahn says on this week's Optimistic Soul Share episode, he's the main Soul Share guest. He's famous for his saying in book titled "Whatever Arises, Love That." And if you guys haven't, by the way, checked out the Matt Kahn episode, it's funny because quite honestly, it's probably my favorite one certainly released so far. Or they're all great, but I just really, really resonate with Matt Kahn. He's such a fascinating little alien, and so interestingly enough, like his particular episode, it was just released, this last Sunday. The one before was Sahara Rose. The one before that was Shaman Durek, and he's got way less views than the other two. And it's, if I had to choose one, it's my favorite so far. So if you guys haven't went over to optimistic.tv and checked out any of the shows that we're releasing that we worked a long time and a lot of energy to birth into the world, definitely do that. Definitely check out Matt's. He's incredible. I mean, he's really, really popular on YouTube for a reason. He's a very special guy. It's not just what he says, it's the energy behind it. There's a definite transmission coming through him. And he actually shares his story of, seeing entities and so forth as a child. And I definitely believe him in this case, because you can feel there's something really special going on with Matt Kahn. So yeah, check it out if you haven't already, optimistic.tv. And, as I mentioned also, I'd normally be doing retreats here. One of the things that we're doing instead of the retreats in person, we are, like many people in the world, shifting to an online focus, right? So we've just launched, and we're launching it for free initially for all you guys, the Mystic Manor online retreats and play shops, re-membership coming together, right? Re-membership program. And if you guys are interested in that, you can also go to optimistic.tv and you'll see, play shops at the top, and you can click there and learn more about it and how to start tuning in every day at 8:30 a.m. Pacific time and 5 p.m. Pacific. We're live streaming these interactive play shops. And I actually did my first one yesterday. And it was a "What would Brandon do?" Q&A session. And guys, it was so much fun. It was so fun because, not only are we streaming on all these different platforms and putting it out there for free to you guys, but also letting it so interactive. So people are literally shooting me questions and thoughts and comments in real time. And then I have two of the lovely optimistic elves here helping me to field those inbound questions. And so it was just this very, me, I like to talk fast and move fast and all those things. And so it was a very rapid fire for almost an hour, rapid fire experience. And we had some really, really good questions and great interactivity from all of you that are joining us for these, these online retreats and play shops. So I've decided what I would do today, since there's so much rich content in there. I'm going to share a recording here for those of you who are not so much going into the online video live streaming space, and you prefer your podcast and audio only. So we're going to find a way to get the information to you one way or another. So with that being said, it is a bit longer than my normal daily shows. So I'm going to just jump right in and share it with you guys. I hope you enjoy. This is just from yesterday. And if you'd like to join in the future, like I said, go to optimistic.tv. You'll see play shops at the top. Click there and you can learn how to follow along and everything like that. And certainly check out the latest episode with Matt Kahn. You will not be disappointed as well. That's at optimistic.tv. All right, everyone, have a wonderful weekend. Keep your head up, keep your heart open, keep your gaze towards all that you have to be grateful for, and you are guaranteed to see and feel more of it. We are going to come out of this bigger and better than ever. I believe in you. I appreciate you. Until next time, journey well. Hope you enjoy this Q&A. Talk to you then. From the Mystic Manor, where we have been doing, for those of you who don't know, we've been doing retreats here for since July 2019, weekly retreats where 3 to 6 people come. And of course, the Mystic Manor has now metamorphosized into the quarantine castle, as we're calling it, because we have, we're in quarantine. So our thought was, how can we continue to offer the same retreat type experience, workshops, transformational workshops that we've been, facilitating here for the last, 9 months or so. And what we've decided to do, there's about, 15 of us here at the Mystic Manor. We've decided to offer what we are calling the Mystic Manor Online Retreat and Play Shops Remembership Program. We're making it free initially, so you guys can tune in 2 times every day, where a different, optimistic here at the Mystic Manor takes you through a different workshop. And one of the things that I thoroughly enjoy doing, that I've done quite a bit on the Positive Head podcast over the years, especially in the past, where I would take questions from people and just give my 2.5 cents, my 11 cents on, whatever the situation, the issue, the question, that arises for someone, what I would do if I were in your shoes. So I thought that would be fun. It's been a while since I've done that on the Positive Head podcast. That's what we're going to do tonight. So feel free to send in any questions. I have people here helping to moderate, and I'm going to just kind of take questions and have a back and forth with you guys as we explore this play shop, interactive play shop. And once again, if you guys aren't familiar, you can check out optimistic.tv, which is where we've launched the new late night style consciousness elevating talk show, variety show Optimistic. And from there you can link to all the play shops, retreats, all that jazz is linked there on optimistic.tv. And we'd love to have you guys there join us regularly. They're going to be 8:30 a.m. Pacific time and 5 p.m. Pacific time every day. So, and today is my day, at least this week, and I'm really, really excited to play and co-create with you guys. So, I guess first things first, who has a question for me, something that they'd like to address and discuss? I know I have my lovely partner Karen, and I also have Damiana here, who are helping to sort of field these questions as they come in. And Karen, was there a question that already came in that you thought would be a good place to start?
Damiana, you want to share it?
Yeah, so this is from Miss Mary Vet, and she says that fear has always been something that is lingering and she doesn't like it. She always thinks of what could possibly happen, and a problem that she has is obviously social media, and there's all of these things to be worried about, the end of the world, 5G towers, lots of different things relating to that. She is wondering, how do you go about letting go of that fear and all of the what ifs? How can she deal with all of this overthinking? And yeah, she's super grateful for your time and excited to hear from you.
Excellent. And what was her name again?
Miss Mary Vet.
Miss Mary, what a great question. Fear is an interesting one, and it's something that I've even processed in the last week. I did my first psychedelic journey in a very long time a few days ago, and what came up for me was a lot of fear. And what's interesting is I'm not someone who has a lot of fear in my daily life. I'm pretty, as my mom would say, I'm pretty fearless. I go after things, and I haven't been too entrenched in fear or worried too much about what could go wrong, more focused as an optimistic on what could go right. And what's interesting, though, is when I in using this psychedelic journey as an example, is I think all of us at some level have deep-seated fears, whether it's ancestral, whether it's just deeply, repressed, whether it was handed down to you from a parent or family member, whether you're watching the news all the time, which there's a lot of fear that runs through that vibrational current. And so what I would say that really has worked for me, first off, is it's like the theme of this week's, these workshops are based off of this week's Optimistic Soul Share interviewee, which is Matt Kahn, who says, whatever arises, love that. And I think that's a really important point on our journey, is to learn to love even feeling fear, right? Because what we resist persists. If we're against fear, as fear is a bad thing, I don't like it, I don't want it, I don't accept it, then you push it away. What you resist persists. What you accept, you move through. So if you can say, all right, I'm at a point in my journey where fears are arising, and I'm worried about 5G, I'm worried about the state of the world, I'm worried about my family, all of these things, and I'm going to love myself there. I'm going to accept myself there, and know that it's just a stopping off point as well. The only thing in life guaranteed is change. So guess what? Mortality rate has held strong at 100%. You're going to die one day. The good news is that death is another birth. And when you learn to trust everything, you trust the birthing process, for example, that's happening right now with the coronavirus. It is we're in a chrysalis, right? We're in like a cocoon. We are an organism, just collectively and independently. And
See Joy Vibrancy said, also fear is the opposite of love, faith, and trust. That's beautiful. If you have a question, See Joy Vibrancy, we'd love to hear it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll say fear, I love taking fear and looking at it from two perspectives, FEAR, forget everything and run, or face everything and rise. And I think facing your fears is a wonderful way to move through them and transmute them. And just understanding that in the end, you cannot be touched. You are an eternal being that 1 billion Earth years from now will have grown from this point, learned, expanded, and exist. And 1 billion Earth years in the past, same thing. You were existing. And so there's a process to your ever unfolding reality, and it's never going to stop.
Do you have another question, Damiana?
Yeah, well, Bella Mafia says, would you guys consider doing a live guided healing meditation for Earth and everyone? Power in numbers with prayer hands. Thank you.
Ooh, I love that. That's a wonderful play shop idea.
Yeah,
and Damiana, who's here helping to oversee a lot of our offerings, just read that off. So I would say your request has been received, and I would expect it to be forthcoming. Yeah, so one of the things, guys, that we're going to be doing is every day, 8:30 a.m. Pacific time, 5 p.m. Pacific, we're going to be, for consistency, on those same times. So we're also going to be posting the schedules on optimistic.tv of what workshops are coming up. So it's not quite on optimistic.tv yet, but it's going to be there in the coming days. So just stay tuned there, and you can see ahead of time even what's going to be coming at those scheduled times.
We've got another one from Asira Lecho, and kind of butchering it, but it's a beautiful name. It says, with this global pandemic occurring now, as in the same now, where as a collective consciousness we've been rising, it is not a reflection? ? Is it not a reflection? How does this relate to you? Do you want me to say that again?
Read it one more time just to make sure.
Okay. With this global pandemic occurring now, as in the same now, where as a collective consciousness we've been rising, is it not a reflection? How does this relate to you?
Okay. So what comes up for me when you say that? One of my favorite books is a book by a woman named Rasha, who it's called Oneness. And I view it as the guidebook for ascension. It's channeled material. It's very incredibly informative and powerful. And one of the things that she talks about in that book is as we ascend, there's going to be things that come up that almost seem contrary to what you'd expect from an ascension symptom, if you will. So hold on, if I'm ascending and expanding and becoming more aware and more loving and all these things, why all of a sudden did a disease come up and pop up in my system, or a sickness? And what she talks about in that book is as we ascend and grow, we have these blockages that have been there for lifetimes, encoded in our DNA and ancestral DNA and all these things that now as you've grown and expanded, they come up to the surface to be processed and released and moved through. And so I believe that's a part of what's happening right now with mankind. We are on a good trajectory in a lot of ways. There's a lot of people waking up, and here we are collectively going through a shedding of skin, so to speak. We're in the chrysalis, we're in the cocoon, and that's a process for mankind to go from being a caterpillar to a butterfly. So don't judge the book by its cover, that this thing is all wrong and bad and evil, when there's actually all kinds of gifts, I believe, in it that we're ultimately, we're actually right on time with the coronavirus, is my feeling.
Absolutely. See Joy Vibrancy says, yes, more sensitive it brings up. And hi to DJ Randy, the alien, and we have Mary Vet here, who we answered your question earlier, but maybe you can just reiterate, because I think it's really relevant. She's asking again about fear. How do you deal with letting go of fear in regards of the end of the world? 5G towers, what the government has planned.
I got news for you. The world's going to end, 100% guaranteed. So how you get rid of fear is by accepting. Anything you want to move through, wrap your arms around it. I think of my friend Jonah, who years ago told me about his experience he runs a festival called Lucidity, shout out Lucidity Festival, and I remember it's always stuck with me, his story. He was continually, he always had lucid dreams, right? And he had this dream over and over again of a werewolf coming to him, this werewolf creature coming in his dreams, and it represented his fears, and it would come, charging at him in this very lucid dream state, and he would like run or wake up, I got to get away from this very fearful monster, right? And this happened time and time again. Over years, he had the same recurring dream. And one time, he decided, you know what? I'm going to just stay. I'm not going to run. I'm going to face this fear. And here comes the werewolf, snarling, running, racing at him. And he just opened his arms, and they embraced each other. And all of a sudden now they start dancing together. Him and the werewolf are dancing, and he's drooling on his shoulder, and he's laughing. And it's like, oh my gosh, he faced his fears, and now he integrated that part of himself that wanted to be integrated. And the dream went away, and he grew as a result of it. So that's what you're being asked to do. Whatever is coming your way, whatever's meant for you will always be meant for you. You cannot, you're untouchable ultimately. This is, they say when we pass, we laugh at what we took so seriously because it's such a blip on the radar of our existence. So from your perspective, your life means everything. From your higher self, it's like infinite moments and this is just one that's just a blip. And so whatever's going to come for you is going to come for you. Be bold, be brave. Face your fears, and that's how you actually will release and move through them is the path, not resisting and running.
So we have a lot of questions coming in. Jennifer Lar, Kristen Nelson, Illy Lagos, and we have one over
Illy,
here
what
too.
up? Hey.
Yeah, so we're going to get to all of you guys. Just want you guys to know that we see your questions, and we have an awesome comment. Hi, lovely people. Thank you for being here and speaking on this topic. Thank you so much, Life Hacks by Paige. So let's jump into some of the questions that rolled in. Jennifer Lar wants to know, is this a time to work through and transmute all of our various fears as they come up? That's what it feels like to me.
Yes.
Like,
always. You're
Definitely.
always being invited to do just that. And you can run, we can resist, we can dip, duck, dodge, dive, all that. But guess what? They're going to come up, they're going to come back, they're going to come back until you face them and find out truly the only thing to fear is the fear of fear, right? Absolutely. It's kind of like doing your homework when you're a kid. It was so much worse thinking about doing the homework than actually going and doing the homework, right? It's the same kind of thing. The only one hiding in the shadows is you. It's just a part of yourself that wants to be transmuted and integrated and released so that energy, that blocked energy, can be freed up and used for other things.
Awesome. And we have Sonia Sophia on here said, hey, good to hear from you. Hi, Sonia.
Love you, Sonia.
Happy to see you. All right, Illy Lagos said, she said, feel
former
elevated.
retreat guest here at the Mystic Manor.
Awesome. Elevated awareness to rise. Oneness. Are you familiar with Dolores Cannon and the New Earth?
Yes. So my co-host on the Positive Head podcast, if you guys aren't aware of the Positive Head podcast, it's a show I've been doing for 5 years or so, and my co-hostess with the mostest, Dr. Erica Middlemiss, is really, really into Dolores Cannon's work and friends with her daughter, who's also been on the podcast. And she actually has been reading from one of her books recently. So from time to time, we'll just read on the podcast. And I think even in the last week, she's read from one of Dolores Cannon's books. So yeah, I really am a fan, and certainly Erica is my co-host.
Awesome. And then Jennifer just replied and said, the more I face them and allow them to exist, the shorter they last.
Yes.
And we have 2 more questions from Kristen and Ashley that we're going to get to. But Damiana, do you want to read this
Kristen
one
Nelson?
from Kristen Nelson?
Yeah.
Hey, Kristen.
Say people are here.
So yeah, do you want to read this one from the Instagram before we get to those 2?
Yeah, another one from Asira Leko. It says, did you hear David Wilcock claim all phones and internet will be cut off for 3 days within the next 2 weeks? David Wilcock of Ancient Aliens, he claims there's good behind it, which I actually just watched this video yesterday. Did you get a chance to see it?
I did not. David Wilcock is a very smart, interesting guy. I've watched quite a few things. I've read parts of some of his books. For me, I don't, where attention goes, energy flows. He gives a lot of energy to the cabal and what's wrong and what's broken and what to be, things that really feed into fear. It's not really my jam. I don't really put a lot of energy there. It's like, there's a reason when they're training a race car driver going around the track, the first thing they teach them is whatever you do, if you spin out, don't look at the wall. You know why they teach them not to look at the wall? Guess what they hit if they look at?
The wall.
So you are a creator living in your own private YO universe. Everything is a holographic reality. You're the only one in the room. It's reflecting you back to you. So if I, as in the creator of my own private universe where everything is a prop in my own private movie, if I'm giving a lot of energy and attention to what's wrong behind the curtain, it doesn't mean not acknowledge that something's there. There's a great video though on YouTube that I recommend. So if you search "We Are From the Future," and it talks about this idea of how a plant creates the miracle of photosynthesis so that the actual photons can get through to the core of the plant, to the nucleus, the center of the plant, to actually survive the journey without dying on the way. Is the plant is just focusing, let there be light, let there be light, let there be light. It's not looking at all the potential realities where that photon gets stopped along the way, right? So us as individuals, as a species, let there be light, let there be light, let there be light. I'm going to focus on the light. I'm going to focus on the light. If there's a bunch of dark things happening, the less I give my energy to them, the less real they become, the less they actually manifest in my private movie.
Awesome. Anne-Marie says hi from Australia.
Hey,
hi,
Anne-Marie. Hey, all the old retreat guests. Love you
Paisley
guys.
Rose says truth. Thanks, Brandon.
Yes, and another beautiful retreat guest.
Yes, there's so many. And then we have another question from Tony, which we're going to get to, but I want to bounce back to Kristen Nelson's question, another former retreat guest. She wants to know, can you tell us more about what happened for you around fear with your last plant medicine experience?
Yeah, okay, so I'm happy to share that. So the last 3 times over the last maybe 3 years that I've done ayahuasca or LSD in this case, or mushrooms, I've had an experience. So I used to be quite the psychonaut. I would explore these sort of medicines more liberally in younger years, and not so much in recent years. But every now and then, right? Maybe once or twice a year. But what's happened for me is I have started to have. Whereas I used to be like, oh, I'm such a trooper and I can handle whatever, no problem. I'm cool as a cucumber. Now what seems to be happening is the last 3 times where someone even says, oh, this is really not even that potent, it's not going to be much, which is really what I'm seeking. I wasn't looking to go deep. However, I think with what my own theory with what's happening with me, it feels like I'm plugged into a light socket where I'm just like, so much energy is, it's almost like a Kundalini activation or something from what I've heard that described like. And so what I think is happening is my higher self is taking these opportunities to, I'm blasting open my third eye. I am allowing more circuitry to be open to energies to come through my system, and it's having a very potent, powerful physical effect on me. And it used to never happen like this. And I believe it's because, I have chosen myself to step into a timeline where I play a role helping to wake up an ever-growing number of people. Well, and anyone can do that, by the way. I'm not special. Actually, that's what I try and empower and teach everyone as what I teach best, what I most need to learn. It's, hey, we're all special. We're all capable to step into any role we so desire. We be it to see it, right?
That's actually a perfect segue into Ashley Peralto's question. I love what you and the Optimistic Tribe are doing to help guide the ascension. What, in your opinion, can we do individually to help the collective?
Well, it all starts with Satan worship. No, just so.
Oh my God.
What can you do? Not take yourself too seriously. That's the first and foremost thing. Enlightenment, lighten up. So I always try and ground it all with humor and not. I don't, please don't ever guru-ize me. Or I always say we teach best what we most need to learn. And so what can you do is unique to you. No one knows that answer better than you. What I can say is this: if you're offering yourself, as Gandhi said, if you want to find yourself, lose yourself in the service of others. Why does that hold true? I believe because there are no others. So if you say, as Wayne Dyer used to say, make me an instrument of thy peace, right? Or St. Francis of Assisi originally said it. If you're making that offering to Source, higher self, the universe, it's hearing that call. And guess what? There is enough room for everyone to step into a role that's perfect for them. And maybe it's, on the stage reaching millions, maybe it's reaching one person that affects 1 billion. You don't really know. And I don't really know. You will know. So, when you're open to what is the highest path for me, the highest timeline where I can be of most service, and you put that out there, your only job becomes to trust that it will be shown to you in divine timing if you don't already know, and to enjoy the journey along the way. You don't need to be uptight about, oh my God, I got to know how I'm going to, validate myself and make a difference and all these things. You are validated just by being. Just who you are already makes you so worthy. Anything you do from here is icing on the cake. Relax into it and know that there is room for everyone. You are literally in your own private universe, and there's infinite universes. So.
Awesome.
Did you?
Yeah, Tony's been waiting on his question for a while. Who do you have? Just give him a shout out so we saw him.
We've got some really sweet comments, and then also Esther Aleko has another comment, and C Joy Vibrancy has a comment as well.
Yeah, so you can share the comments real quick, and then we can jump on to Tony's question.
Just Titles are lame.
Hey, beautiful.
I used to always tell everyone, I agree with you.
Titles Are Lame was also on my tarot stream. So welcome back, Titles Are Lame.
Titles Are Lame.
I got kind of mad when they put in the behind the scenes video. They called me the CEO. I'm like, no, I'm with you. I'm not into
Titles Are Lame.
He said,
I'm the janitor.
She said, so awesome, and a butterfly, of course, for that metamorphosis. And Esther Aleko also said she felt really off about the David Wilcock video, and she said, I felt like it was phony. So thank you for your input. I really appreciate to hear from you.
Yeah, and he's where he's at, and it's perfect. It's just not where I choose to put my energy. It's too valuable.
Beautiful. Do you have some more comments to read before we jump into questions?
They're questions. So
okay, then I also have Elements Embodied said has a question that we'll get to if you hang on. We're going to jump on to Tony's question because he's been waiting for a while. He said, are you familiar with Paramahansa Yogananda and the Self-Realization Fellowship? How do you feel about that and Kriya Yoga? And then Heath Cummings.
Heath, I love Heath.
Heath, he just says, what's up, Soul Fam? Thank you to all the Mystic Manor for all you
Heath, what's the name of your podcast again so we can shout it out? Heath just launched a podcast.
Awesome. Heath, share your podcast so we can shout it out. In the meantime, let's answer Tony's question about
Yogananda?
Yoga and Yogananda.
I started reading Autobiography of a Yogi, and I love the stories and what I read up to, I don't know, maybe a third of the way through. I'm not intimately familiar with Kriya Yoga and all. I've been to the Self-Realization Institute once, I think, down in Carlsbad. And I know there's one not far from here in LA, I believe. And so I can't speak to it too intelligently because I haven't deep dived. My son actually would be better to speak to that, who did this morning's.
He did
this morning's philosophy talk because he's really dove deep. What I have assessed seems pretty interesting, and I haven't come across anything that feels off. And that's the thing. If there's a lot of ego or guru energy in something, to me, you feel it pretty quickly. And I haven't felt that around Yogananda's teachings or the Self-Realization Institute. But I'm not super qualified to speak to it.
Awesome, cool. And Heath replied, he said his podcast is the Live This Life podcast.
The Live This Life podcast. Check that one out, folks.
Check it out.
Heath is epic.
All right, we got Life Hacks by Paige just said, amazing message, Soul Fam. So much gratitude for you. Thank you, Life Hacks by Paige. I'm going to jump back to Elements Embodied. She said, how do we implement more mysticism in our education systems? Such a good question.
Well, that's a great question, and it all starts with, everything starts with the self. So where can you implement more mysticism into the education system? Are you involved in the education system now? So, we all walk before we run, and as a society, I think as mysticism gets to be more widely accepted and we continue to take the blinders off as a society, it will be a natural repercussion that it then gets integrated into our, sort of our mainstream world. And I think we're seeing that happen now. I mean, I think back to 10 years ago, I would talk about spiritual concepts and people are like, what are you smoking? Or that's interesting, and go about their daily life. Now everyone I know and bump elbows with in my life is like, yeah, of course I know I'm one with source, and the source that creates and animates all things, and so are you. And so it's happening, but there's a process, and it's going to, don't get too caught up on resisting. You don't listen to a song to hear the final note, right? Our life, what's happening on planet Earth, this is a song that's playing out. This is a story that God once told. Let it play itself out. You can't have the wins without the hardships, etc., etc.
Beautiful. And Illy Spilly spoke to that. She said, meditation. I am a teacher, and I have been meditating with my students for 2 years. So she's doing just
great
what
practical
you were
answer.
suggesting.
Thank you, Ellie.
Yeah, and then Earthworm also said, yes, meditation, yoga, and breath work.
Yeah.
Beautiful suggestions.
Totally makes sense. And I've been seeing actually some reports of like schools somewhere that started implementing meditation, and then all the kids getting in trouble went away completely, and they were using it also in for kids that had been put in after school suspension and stuff like that, and it was having incredible results. So when we can show results like that, I think it really, really is going to help for it.
Yeah, and Paisley Rose just shared that Peace in Schools is a nonprofit that is bringing mindfulness to high schools in the Portland, Oregon area, hoping it'll catch on everywhere.
Wow. Yeah, Portland, I have people tell me that I would love it there, Paisley, and it sounds, everything that I hear about it, it sounds so forward thinking in so many ways, so it doesn't surprise me that that's happening there.
Awesome. Do we have any more questions over there, Damiana?
Yeah, and a funny comment. C Joy Vibrancy did a hysterical crying laugh at your devil worship comment. Said hey. And then Asira Leko said, have you ever interacted with Jason Silva? And then some more questions after that.
No, I haven't. I would like to interact with him. I remember my mom sent me a video one time from him and said, wow, I thought you were excitable and hyper. And, so I definitely can relate to him and his vibrancy and energy. And I have friends that, I can think of one friend who's a really close friend of his. So I'm sure it's a matter of time till I do. And I look forward to interacting with him.
Yeah. And then C Joy Vibrancy said, what are your thoughts on twin flames?
That's a great question.
Awesome. And we also have a question from Nick Walks. So Nick Walks, we'll get to your question next. So,
here's my thought. I don't ever claim to be 100% expert on something, anything for that matter, but I certainly have lots of ideas and strong opinions, and some things I have stronger opinions than others. Twin flame isn't one that I consider myself a twin flame expert. However, I have explored the topic, and I think we're all interested by this topic to some degree. I believe I did a Positive Head podcast episode on it a while back. If you go to positivehead.com and search twin flame, you'll see. But here's what I'll share that I recall that really rang true with me. So The article I think I was referencing at the time talked about karmic relationships, soulmate relationships, and twin flame relationships. Karmic being the type of relationship many of us have had where it's like bumps, bruises, painful, and we learn some valuable stuff from it. And you're also usually come out of it and say, man, I'm so glad I got out of that. What was I thinking in retrospect, kind of thing. I think a lot of people have a lot of karmic relationships. Maybe less common is a soulmate relationship, which the way I heard that put, that rings true, is I can think of someone in my own life that I met, and there was a lot of synchronicity, and it felt like there's all these overlap of, synchronistically speaking and everything. And what I remember reading in this particular book or article about soulmates was that a lot of times with soulmate energies are people that you're really closely connected to on the other side and in many past and future incarnations. So when you come into contact with that person, It feels like really familiar. And oftentimes you'll have it where you meet in a certain lifetime where one is outpaced the other. And so one ends up running and one ends up chasing because you're not quite a fit in this life. That was an experience that I definitely have had with one individual where it feels like, wow, who is this person to me? And why do I feel such a pull, even though there's not a full match vibrationally with where we're at in our development. And so that really rang true with me, the idea that, I think that probably in future incarnations, there's a lot of interaction and connectivity with this person. And then you have the idea of twin flame, which is, for me, this idea that when we start connected, as one, we break off like eggs hatching off of source. This is like the little, hatch from the same egg sort of energy. And that person that really comes into your life when you're at a certain point in your own evolution and advancement that perfectly complements you in a way that doesn't mean it's always easy, but actually, and oftentimes can even be very challenging. And most importantly, it's there, as Eckhart Tolle talks about, once you can understand that relationships are there first and foremost for your growth and not just to be happily ever after, then you can understand the real meaning behind them. And I think with twin flames, this is that person who's like, wow, there's such a cosmic connection hatched from the same egg, and the optimal amount of growth can happen in this lifetime from coming back together. And that only happens when I'm at a certain point in my own advancement and evolution, because that's not a level 1 sort of interaction that happens. It's further down the road.
Before we continue, I'd like to take a moment to tell you about our new sponsor, BetterHelp. As you know, we do everything we possibly can on the show to help people shift their perspectives to help them lead a healthy and happy life. That being said, sometimes we really just need someone to talk to directly that can help us navigate whatever challenge we're going through at that time. And if you're at that point in your life currently, BetterHelp makes this process super convenient by connecting you with a professional counselor in a safe and private environment, either on video, phone, or via text chats. BetterHelp has licensed therapists that specialize in almost any scenario you may be struggling with, such as depression, anxiety, grief, trauma, or relationship issues. And if you don't like the counselor you get assigned for any reason, you can request a new one at any time. Best of all, not only is it a convenient option, it's also affordable. And if you use the code POSITIVEHEAD, it's even more affordable because you get 10% off your first month. So if you're hearing this and you get the feeling that one of BetterHelp's 3,000 licensed therapists could help get you to where you want and deserve to be mentally, head over to betterhelp.com/positivehead and be sure to use the discount code POSITIVEHEAD, all one word, to get 10% off your first month.
Awesome.
We just want to, Hawa Almir, we see your comment and question, and I'm super feeling you right now, and we will get to you. Please hold on, and we will for sure get to you.
We're gonna jump back. We also see Jenna Booth has a question. We'll get to you shortly. We're just gonna jump back over to Nick Walk's question, who's been waiting. And before I read that, I just want to read Jennifer's comment. She said, if you're interested in, Matt Kahn has an amazing video explaining twin flame soulmate differences.
Ooh, I'd like to see
So, yeah, go check out Matt Kahn. And if you love Matt Kahn and you haven't watched this week's episode yet, definitely go watch our episode with Matt Kahn.
Yeah, Optimistic.tv was sitting in this seat just a few months ago, and we just released the episode a couple days ago.
So Nick Walk's question is, what are some ways to easily differentiate between what the heart wants and what the ego wants?
That's a great question.
Such a good question.
So, where is it coming from? Here's the thing: is when you really tune in, is it coming from your head, or is there love energy attached to it? That's really, if you want to understand what anything is, where it's coming from, trace it back to its roots. What's the intention of it? Am I scheming how I can get something physically that I want that's shallow? It's probably not a heart move. If I'm thinking, gosh, I really want to do good for this person that I love, that's coming from the heart. So it really, the short answer is how much love is injected into the move, right? And if there's a lot of love and depth there, it's the heart. If it's a lot of like cerebral and calculating and posturing and chess move kind of stuff, then it's probably the head, right? And both have their time and place, by the way.
Awesome. So let's get to that question that you had over there, Damiana.
Yeah, so Hawa Almir, she says, "Hi Brandon, my son is 35 years old and has been sentenced with the death penalty for drug smuggling.
Wow.
Yikes.
He calls me twice a week from jail, and I am supposed to comfort him with my words, but I get so emotional. Can you help me with some comforting words to tell him?"
Woo!
Oh, I know,
That's a heavy one. Wow. First off, I mean, I'm getting full chills just feeling what you're, feeling into this, and sending so much love and compassion to you and your son. And what I would say, and for whatever it's worth, is I do not believe, I am 111% convinced that everything that's ever happened to any of us, ever throughout all humanity's existence, is there's never been a victim in all of eternity, meaning that whatever is happening to your son, who is an eternal being having a life here on planet Earth, that's a blip, and it's almost inconsequential. It's so short compared to no time in eternity, that which he truly is. I believe any and everyone that's ever had any sort of experience signed up for it. And I know that's really challenging for a lot of people, especially when there seems to be some injustice or something that just doesn't feel fair. Like, drug smuggling. That does death equals drug smuggling? I don't think so. And I believe that he will go on. He chose everything about his experience, and so that you could both have the experience, including the one that you're having, which is extremely challenging. And I would say that compassion. I have so much compassion for you. What a brave soul that you would sign up for it, that he would sign up for it. I believe you have amnesia to that fact, and there's no easy way through it, but through it, where I find great comfort is knowing that I truly believe when I get to the other side, I think of losing my son or a parent one day, and it's like, oh my gosh, the death penalty, right? Because 100% of us have the death penalty at some point, right? And I believe I'll get to the other side and I'll laugh at death in realizing there's really no such thing whatsoever, and we just go on, and anything that we go on is all by choice and divine design. And those who sign up for a really challenging path are the bravest souls, and ultimately there is a reward that is received for taking such a path. And I know, once again, that's maybe a little consequence and help to what you're feeling now, but you will move through it, and he's died before, and he'll die again, and so will you, and so will I, and so will all of us. And I think the stronger that you can be for him, and I would offer him even some books. There's a great Conversations with God book 3, I believe, talks a lot about death and the death process and what happens as we traverse death. And maybe book 4, I think it's 3, but if you do a little research, you can find out which one talks specifically about death, dying, and why, when, where, how, what the experience is like. And I would highly recommend sending him to that if you can, and even reading it for yourself, because I think it brings a perspective that brings some level of relief.
Wow, that was such a beautiful question and response. And Nicole Osborne from Facebook just also wanted to offer you some words of comfort. She said he has a huge opportunity to really get to know himself, which I think is a really beautiful response as well. Wow. Thank you so much for that. So now we're going to jump back to Jenna Booth's question, and then we have another one from Lucy who's waiting. So Jenna Booth from Facebook wants to know, first of all, she wanted to say, by the way, I love that you did this. Thank you and everyone at the Manor for keeping this space available to all the crown virus going on. Being able to feel more connected than ever is really getting me through this time. Love you all so much.
Oh, we love you too, Jenna.
And she wants to know, I would like to know your take on star seeds.
I love that.
Interesting pivot.
So there are certainly people out there who are having a lot of experience with dealing with such things, multidimensional beings, channeling, connecting with, supposed extraterrestrials. I can't say that I'm having that experience, although I'm completely wide open to the possibility that I could tonight or tomorrow, or or that other people are. I truly believe that they are.
Starseeds Unite just joined as you're talking about it. That's
So there's some synchronicity for you.
Okay, what
up,
does that mean, everyone?
Unite?
What does that mean?
I was just asked about what I think of Starseeds. Starseeds Unite just popped in to maybe answer the question. I don't know.
Hear you talking about
Excuse me.
Wow, you can't make this stuff up, guys.
Your
Like,
ears are
what?
ringing. Okay.
That's so cool. So, yes, I'm open to, obviously, the idea that there are many, many beings on many levels, both physical and non-physical, that exist. And I also think as we ascend, as we expand vibrationally, it's inevitable that these energies start to come in as we mature and are ready to accept and interact in a way that's actually, in a mature, loving manner. And so I think I think it's inevitable that we're going to see and hear more and more that lends to the credibility of such things. And I'm just here for, I've got my popcorn and I'm ready to go. So.
All right. Wow. Hey, Starseeds Unite, Jenna Booth responds. All right, we have a question from Draco and Heath. We see both of your questions, but I'm going to jump back over here. First off, just Earthworth wanted to pass along some more words of comfort to the share earlier. Love bombs going out to the beautiful drug smuggling soul. Practice dying and realize death isn't the end.
Yes.
Very beautiful. We have so much love for you.
It's, I think of Eckhart Tolle again. He says that the real, I'm paraphrasing, but the goal of our life should be to die before we die and realize there is no death.
I love that. Okay, so Lucy Nicole asked a great question. She said, what sorts of spiritual practices have helped you cope with the coronavirus, such as grounding techniques, breath work, or any sort of affirmations that might be helpful to the rest of us?
For me, one of the things that I've just started incorporating into my own practice, and quite honestly and transparently, I'm not the most diligent practicer of yoga, meditation, although I do all those things. I'm also, someone who can wake up and be like, okay, I got so much work to do. Go. And I actually had an Akashic Records reading a few weeks ago, and my ancestors were arguing about how much they should tell me to meditate, because one of them was like, no, if you tell him to do it that much, he'll just say he won't do it, cut it down to 10 minutes, not 20, and then there was this whole dialogue happening with the reader, and it was really funny because, I'm sort of, not the most diligent, and I have my good days and bad days, and it's all good, actually. It's, there's no must for any of us, right? That being said, I've recently started doing breath work somewhat, at least a few times a week, and I've really gotten a lot out of it. It's for those of you who want to have an expanded state of, consciousness that can be even similar to taking a plant medicine high on life, it's really, really powerful. And I believe the more breath you take in, the more bandwidth and capability you have to deal with the problems of the world, right? If I'm breathing really shallow, my capacity is like this. If I'm breathing deep, my capacity is like this. You'll notice you can't deep breathe and be upset simultaneously. It's like giving yourself much bigger muscles in a sense. So practicing breath work, and it's such a simple but profound and powerful practice. So that's the first thing that comes up to me that I would recommend that I really get a lot of. And by the way, every Monday at 8:30 a.m. Pacific time for one of these play shops, Everett Lee Sung, who just walked in the room as I'm saying his name, is going to be leading a breath work to kick off our week together. So if you haven't ever done breath work, come back to the exact page you're on now, 8:30 a.m. Pacific on Monday.
And do breath work with this dude.
If you wanted to do some breath work with a real Zen
Jedi
monk who is descended from the ethers, he just showed up here one day on a cloud.
All right, and Nicole, we see your question. We're going to get to it. I'm going to jump to Heath's question real quick because it's along the same lines. What are the best methods to increase intuition?
The best methods to increase intuition. I found if I find a really solid brick wall and smash my head into it, my intuition goes through. Okay, that's a bad joke. Can't win them all, everyone. I bet Heath laughed a little bit. So the best method to increase intuition. Once again, the breathwork thing I think is a great. It's really, I love the way Osho talked about meditation. And he talked about like just showing up for it, you win. Just observing what arises. We get so hung up on the techniques that have to happen when really your intention to do something is where all the power lies. It's why rituals are so powerful. It's why witches and pagans and people go out and do and make up all these, these rituals that really, the ritual itself, I mean, whether I use a crow's feather or it's a full moon or whatever, I don't think any of that matters. I think it's all you set the intention to call something in, and then giving yourself, as Bashar talks about, a permission slip. Oh, if I do X, Y, and Z, then I get this result. And so it is, right? If you tell that story. So find a story that really resonates with you about practices that you can do to increase your intuition and say, oh, that one really resonates. I believe it's true. And so it is. And then just by putting energy into it, that's the real magic.
And if they want to know more, Fridays with me, I'm diving into some stuff around that.
Okay. Friday, which morning?
Damiana in the evening, 5 p.m.
5 p.m. Pacific, Friday on the same channel. Damiana will be doing that sort of work. So.
There you go.
Awesome. Okay, so I have a question from Nicole here, and Ashley, we see your question. We'll get to it shortly. Nicole says, "Hi, Brandon. I'm wondering, what do you believe will be the most positive shift we will witness once we've emerged from our COVID cocoons?"
Ooh.
So much.
What a great question. I think there's been a lot of reframing and people that have now been reevaluating their habitual activity that has been shaken up. I think, something we've been talking about around here, this is sort of the dawning of the digital age. So out of necessity, more and more people are looking to what it's like to be forced to work remotely and then say, oh, wow, hold on, I thought I needed an office when now I just proved to myself that I don't. Oh, wow, we just up-leveled our technology to deal with this situation and we actually have improved things. So in some ways, it made things more convenient. So I think it's sort of it's a push to dawn the digital age and for us to be able to connect virtually in a way that, allows information and transformation to spread, more readily available, right? And so I think big step for all things digital connection related with this thing. And also breaking maybe habits that we were anchored into that don't really serve us, and we're realizing we didn't need them and we're really just doing them out of habit. And this is something Dr. Joe Dispenza talks about, how if you really want change, you got to start doing things differently. But it's so easy once we've gotten on a hamster wheel of regularity, and once something, sometimes the universe comes in with a disruptive pattern so that you can, whoa, hold on, I just got shaken out of this, and wow, what was I thinking and doing? And we've all had that experience. Even think of a bad relationship where you got knocked out of it finally, and then you look back, weeks later or a month later, and the spell has worn off of what you were, locked into doing, and you're thinking, what was I thinking? There's such a better way. And I think that's going to happen on multiple levels with a lot of people's routines that no longer serve them in the new world that's wanting to be birthed.
Awesome. I'm going to read Ashley's question, but Damiana, do you have some people over there?
Yeah, we've got some questions and things, so when you're done.
We'll just shout them out so they know that we see it and that we'll get to them.
Andy's campy. Well, she said in terms of the breathing, she said makes so much sense. I've barely been able to breathe lately, and I've been neglecting myself spiritually. So
the deeper you breathe, the more everything is a reflection and symbolism of your life. Just by expanding your breath, you'll expand your capacity for everything else.
All right. Starseeds Unite says yes to Starseeds. Yay. And
that was so cool.
That was so magical.
Starseeds.
Someone asked about, do I think Starseeds are real or something, and then at the same moment, someone named Starseeds Unite, then as we're reading the question, joined.
Yeah. She's like, they're real.
Can I make the 2020 reframe of Starseeds, though?
Yeah.
Yes.
We're going from star seeds to now star blossoms.
Ooh.
Yes.
Star seeds are blossoming now.
Woo. There you go. Star Blossoms Unite. Join the chat, Star Blossoms.
Yes.
Happy, healthy hearts. I remember you, sister. She says, who's your favorite retreat guest?
Oh, well, that would have to be Jordan. I mean, there's no one else that it could possibly be. I don't know who that is, but he's Jordan.
I don't know, yeah. And then we've got another question. From Z-Tap, what's the difference between dreams and reality? Which I think we've got a couple more questions before you.
What's the difference between dreams and reality?
Yes. And
Nothing.
Yeah.
Simple. Okay. And we've got another question from Andy Scampy as well. So when you're
Awesome. Okay. Ashley Peralta, and it goes along with Nicole's question, but maybe if you could just put in like a sentence or two, if you were to manifest the best possible outcome of this, what would it look like?
Of this?
Of this, as in the COVID experience.
Ooh. The best possible outcome.
Give it in two to three sentences.
Wow. Digital age, expansion, explosion, reframes and processing of old habits that no longer serve, and appreciation for connectivity.
Beautiful. I love that. And Nicole replied to Everett's comment. She said, "We are star seeds from the same seed pod."
Bam.
So true. Jenna Booth, we'll get back to your question. Let's get some of the questions from Instagram that Damiana has over there.
Sweet. And then also Sustain the Label. We see you and we'll be getting to you in just a few moments as well. So please stay tuned. Okay, so the difference between dreams and reality is nothing. Sounds like. Okay, if there's more on that.
You're in a dream. What are you dreaming? Right now. That's for you, Chad.
Shout out to
Baby
Chad.
boy.
Shout out to
Baby
Chad.
boy.
And Chad was on earlier. He's like, I
was?
miss you guys.
Oh,
I'm coming
Chad,
over.
we miss you.
And then Andy's Campy, says Gaia is winning on this one. Hopefully we come out of it with some concrete ways to protect her. It sounds like, and so I guess that was a comment, but yeah, it sounds like Gaia really knows what to do. She's kind of taking care of
Yeah, I mean,
herself,
judging a book
right?
by the cover is always the most unintelligent thing any of us can do. Just go deeper, go deeper, go deeper. And yes, there's so many gifts hidden in this pandemic.
Right.
And I'm sure more will be revealed.
And then I've got like 4 questions that just flooded in, but one is Jennifer Lynette Shamrock says, do you meditate first thing in the morning? Which I know you covered a little bit about your morning practice, but a little.
Sometimes. And,
Not-
you know, I could do more, and it's also perfect that I do it as little as I do.
There you go. And then from Adam Margolis Productions, what are your thoughts on tachyon energy? Tachyon?
You know, I've heard about tachyon energy at some point. I feel like I've read about it, and it's been maybe a couple years ago, and I don't really remember what I read. So I don't feel qualified to really answer that question, although you make me want to go and look it up again and refresh my memory on what tachyon energy is all about.
Okay, perfect. So maybe we'll get back to that. And then Jennifer Lynette Shamrock, she also asked, can you share a cool insight from your recent psychedelic experience?
Ooh, cool insight from my psychedelic experience. Yeah. One of the things that I saw for the first time ever was sacred geometry in the middle of the room. I've never been a really visual person. I haven't had a lot of visions or, you know, dream. Like, I'm more auditorially stimulated, I suppose. I mean, I'm really into aesthetics, but as far as visions, never a big thing. Even when I've done plant medicines or psychedelics in the past, it's not a lot been a visual, more like getting downloads of information and insights and things that are really powerful. And with this last time, I remember looking around and literally seeing geometry in the middle of the room, and I'm thinking, oh, this is what people talk about. Like, wow, there's actually a web here. I felt like I was seeing multidimensionally for the first time out of my physical eyes, and that was pretty cool.
Wow, awesome. And then, okay, so Andy Scampy is the pronunciation. Excuse me, Andy Scampy. Got you. And then Adam Margolis Production says, thank you for your answer. I appreciate it. Andy Scampy again says, what psychedelic gave you the visuals? I don't tend to get those either.
LSD.
And then Jennifer Lynette Shamrock said, that is so cool.
It was really cool. It was a rainbow. It was like, wow. It was so powerful.
Awesome. And then we've got Sustain the Label says, hi, we've been following you for a while. Love you guys. Would love if you'd follow our journey to a better environment, bringing spirituality into the fashion world.
Great.
Ooh, awesome. Yeah, we'll definitely check your page out after this.
Yeah, that's a wonderful. I think that's one of the things that a lot of people. Think of my friend Pat was talking about. That's shout out Covalence is his company, which is this idea that
fashion, there's so much waste that happens, and so much, unhealthy things for the environment. So anyone who's looking to bridge the gap between the fashion world and sustainability, shout out to you guys. That is super cool.
Yes.
All right, I've got a question from Jenna Booth, who's been waiting for a bit. And Tony, we see your question as well. Jenna says, I want to pick your brain a bit on how to invite consciousness into children around the age of 12. I have a younger brother who is really troubled, and I've been trying to reach him, but it seems all my efforts get pushed to the side and basically come off more as if I'm the bad guy rather than the person who is showing the love and trying to help.
And just a time check so you guys know we've got 7 minutes.
Okay, so this is a great...
all the questions.
Great. This is a great question, and one of the things that we have to all be careful of as we have our own awakening and we want to share it. I know for me, I've certainly been guilty of this, then wanting someone else to receive it when they're not ready to receive it necessarily. So your brother's path is his path, and his path may be from 12 to 17, I'm going to be really challenged and troubled. I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm just making something up. But don't discount people's journey and need for them. There's a lot of people whose soul contract, the way they sign up is, I'm going to have a really tough time during these adolescent and teenage years so that I can then come out of it and actually have the perspective. I mean, Karen sitting here is one of them, right? This is someone who's like a rock star human who was like a troubled teen. And that troubled teen, okay, Damian is telling me same. That's like such a common narrative. So do your best, be love, be accepting of where they're at. Don't allow them to trigger you into a place of falling out of alignment. And if they're not able to receive what you're offering, it's because they're not supposed to receive what you're offering. And you can rest assured knowing that. We get so caught up judging someone else's path and that we're here to fix them. And we're not here to fix anyone. They're powerful enough to transmute and move through their own process, and their soul knows best what they need.
Awesome, perfect. Let's see. Let's see. Is there anyone from Instagram that hasn't had a question answered yet? So we're getting tight on time.
I think these people have asked questions. So.
Okay. Well, we have Tony here wants to know: have you ever astral traveled?
That's a great question. So, when I first started having my own spiritual awakening, it was reading a book called Psychic Explorers. It's all about out-of-body experiences and astral travel. And I was reading how you could do it through meditation or through become lucid in your dream and then saying, okay, I'm lucid, I want to leave my body, and I would leave my body. And I was trying to induce the experience, and I never successfully induced it. I was telling my brother about it, and we had been raised very conservative Christian, and he was like, dude, what are you smoking? And as I'm telling him all about this thing I'm reading, this is 20 plus years ago now, he's like, well, I don't know about this astral travel thing. Sounds like nonsense and crazy. However, you're telling me this lucid dreaming, becoming awake in my dream, is a path to actually then leave my body once I become lucid, say, okay, I want to leave my body, and you will. I did do that lucid dreaming thing you're talking about when I was a kid. I would become awake in my dream. Well, he went from making fun of me that I was crazy to one day to the next day saying, oh my God, Brandon, because we started talking about this lucid dreaming thing again, it happened to me last night. I remembered what you said. Say I want to leave my body when I become lucid. I did it, and next thing I know, I'm standing outside of my body. I'm looking at myself laying there. I'm moving my hand in front of my face, and it's just energy. And then I fly through a window and start having experiences with entities and all kinds of stuff. And he was never the first one in line for the roller coaster, so he wasn't even trying to do this. It just started happening to him as a result. So it was really cool for me to see a firsthand sort of verified account of someone who I know isn't just there to BS me. You know what I mean? So it was cool.
I think we have time for another question over there.
One is again from Andy. Andy Scampy says, how has this quarantine made you reevaluate the way you operate from day to day at the mansion?
Ooh, a lot.
Yes and no. We're doing a lot. The joke was before this happened that Brandon never leaves the Mystic Manor. And so what happens now? Brandon never leaves the Mystic Manor. And we're doing a lot digitally. We're working a lot on things remotely. So I think my life has probably been affected a lot less than others. Although we had a lot of people coming in for retreats, which if you go to optimistic.tv, you can learn all about, and can come to one when we resume. we're out of quarantine, that is. But yeah, so it really hasn't changed a ton for me, other than, a new appreciation of my ability to go to the store or to get out when I want and not have to think about, touching something and getting sick or whatever. So I think, like all challenging, limiting things, they give us that contrast and perspective we need to have better appreciation to the freedoms we have. And I've definitely gotten some of that out of it.
All right. Another question is, so if dreams are the same as reality, if I can fly in my dreams, does that mean I can fly now?
You know what I would say to that question? If you really 111% believed you could fly right now, I believe you could fly right now. I think there's a part of you that doesn't fully believe that, even though you're saying it, and we have a collective consensus that that's not possible. And abracadabra, as we believe, as we speak, we create. So I think 1,000 Earth years from now, we may be in light bodies and be flying and zipping all over the place. I think it's all a dream. This is a dream God once had. We know this is a light show. Everything you're seeing, I'm not solid. I'm made of 99.99999% space. The particles that are solid aren't solid at all. They're vibrations of energy. It's a light show. It's all you're seeing. Everything is light.
It's a light show. I love it. And then CR3AM Puff says, what is the best way to meditate for beginners?
Sit down and be with yourself and know that you're already successful just giving yourself the time to attempt to meditate with any sort of modality that you feel attracted to. Just the act of doing it means you win. Forget about any result or, getting it right. There is no getting it right. There's just the act in committing to doing it, and that is you are well on your way.
Beautiful. We've got 27 seconds left before lives cuts off because it's 1 hour. So if you want to do a little goodbye.
Well, okay, with that being said, we've only got 20 seconds. Guys, this has been so much fun. Join us, like I said earlier, at 8:30 a.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Pacific every day on this channel. Go to optimistic.tv. You can learn more about continuing with this. We have a Facebook group where we're doing interactive stuff. See you there. Love you all.
Woo!
And if you're feeling the call to come for a week retreat style Mystic Manor immersion, remember to go now and book your time to speak with me directly about stepping into the optimistic vortex at calendly.com/talk with Brandon while there are still spots left. Otherwise, I look forward to co-creating magic with you at the Mystic Manor.